이번 영상에서는 노트북LM의 새로이 업데이트된 동영상개요 기능을 사용해 보았습니다. 노트북LM은 여러 유용한 기능이 있었죠. 음성개요 기능에다 이제는 동영상개요를 자동 생성하는 기능까지 업데이트되었네요. 아직은 영어로만 서비스되고 있습니다. 스테이블코인 이슈가 요즘 핫하죠. 미국 지니어스법 관련 자료를 소스로 업로드하고 노트북LM으로 동영상개요를 만들어 보았습니다. 한영 자막은 따로 넣었고 전체 영상을 편집했습니다. 여러분도 사용해보시면 좋을 것 같네요. 요즘 국제정세의 키워드는 패권 경쟁이죠. 스테이블코인 관련법인 미국 지니어스법도 그 연장선에 있다고 볼 수 있겠습니다. 자, 이어지는 동영상에서 구체적인 내용을 확인하세요. 스타트!
Alright, welcome to the explainer. Today we're going to dig into a brand new law that could seriously change the future of digital money, creating a real framework for a safer, more regulated digital dollar. You know, for years, cryptocurrency has been this wild roller coaster, right? Insane price swings, and yeah, let's be honest, it's had a bit of a shady reputation. More people have lost money than made it. But there's a new kind of digital asset out there that's trying to change that entire story. Okay, so what are we talking about here? The asset is called a stablecoin. And the whole idea is to give you the best of both worlds. You get the super low fees and the lightning fast speeds of crypto, but with the rock solid stability of traditional money that you can actually count on. But there's been a problem. We've seen some pretty spectacular failures. And let's face it, the lack of rules has made it feel like the Wild West. Well, that all started to change on July 18th, 2025. That's when the US government decided to step in with a whole new plan to bring some order to the chaos. And on that day, the White House dropped a huge announcement, the Genius Act. This is the first ever federal framework for stablecoins in the US, with President Trump calling it a move to make sure America becomes the undisputed leader in digital assets. So what's the game plan? Well, the Genius Act, and that stands for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoin, it really boils down to three core goals. First and foremost, protect you, the consumer, from losing your money. Second, make sure the U.S. dollar stays on top in this new digital economy. And third, shut down its use for crime. Okay, so that's the big picture, but how does this new law actually work? What are the nuts and bolts that are supposed to make these stablecoins so much safer? Well, it really comes down to a few key rules that are all about building trust. You can really group the new regulations into three main buckets. It all starts with making sure the money is actually there, that it's fully backed. Then, it's about forcing these companies to show their cards and be completely transparent. And finally, it's about putting these assets under the same anti-crime rules that regular banks have to follow. Let's break that down. Rule number 1, full backing and protection. This is a big one. For every single digital dollar that gets issued, the company has to hold a real dollar in cash, or something just as safe, like a short-term US Treasury. Now, let's be clear, it is not insured by the FDIC. But, and this is huge, if the company goes bankrupt, you, the coin holder, get paid back before almost anyone else. They're actually calling it a super duper priority. You go straight to the front of the line. Next up, rule number 2, clear disclosures. No more smoke and mirrors. Companies can't just say they have the reserves anymore. They have to prove it with monthly audited reports. And the government is cracking down on how they can be marketed too. No more claiming your coin is government-backed or legal tender. That's not going to fly. And finally, rule number 3 is all about fighting crime. This basically brings stablecoin issuers into the big leagues of financial regulation. They now have to follow the Bank Secrecy Act. Yep, the very same one banks live by. That means having serious anti-money laundering programs and, critically, having the technology to freeze funds if law enforcement shows up with a warrant. Okay, rules, regulations, acts, I get it. But why should you actually care about any of this? What does it mean for you or for businesses in the real world? Well, it turns out the impacts could be bigger than you think, and in some pretty surprising ways. Just think about something you probably do every day. Swipe a credit card. Every single time, the merchant, the store, the restaurant, your local museum pays a processing fee. And those fees add up. I mean, in 2022 alone, it cost U.S. merchants a staggering $126 billion. With stablecoin payments, those fees could basically just disappear, which is a huge deal for a small business or a nonprofit. And you can see this same idea supercharging charitable giving. There's this trend called crypto philanthropy, and it is just exploding. We're talking about a leap from $1 billion in 2024 to a projected $2.5 billion this year alone. And believe it or not, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Looking ahead, some analysts are projecting this form of giving could absolutely skyrocket to over $89 billion annually by 2035. Just wow. So let's zoom out from donations for a second. The entire stablecoin market, the whole shebang, is forecast to grow from around $247 billion today to, get this, $2 trillion by 2028. That is some serious growth that's pretty hard to ignore. But the Genius Act isn't just about making things safer here at home. This is a major chess move on the global stage. We are talking about a competition to define the very future of money itself. So here is the US strategy boiled down. They're betting on the private sector. The idea is to encourage companies to create these privately issued but US dollar-backed stablecoins. Why? The logic is simple. If the world starts using digital dollars, it creates massive continuous demand for US debt. And that helps keep the US dollar at the very center of the global financial system. And if you're wondering if that strategy is working, just look at this. It's already having a massive effect. Right now, these stablecoin companies hold over $120 billion in US treasuries. That makes them the 18th largest holder in the entire world. They've effectively become a brand new, huge customer for US debt. But not everyone is playing the same game. You look over at the European Union, and they're taking a totally different path with their MiCA regulations. It's much more top-down, much more government-controlled. They're so strict, in fact, that major crypto exchanges have already started delisting popular stablecoins, like Tether, because they just don't meet those new, tough European standards. And so, there you have it. The United States has placed its bet. It's backing regulated private sector innovation as the key to winning this digital currency race. The move sets the stage for a fascinating global competition, and it leaves us all with one big question for the future. In this new digital world, will the dollar still be king,